All right, Marshall, welcome to the channel. I'm super pumped to have you here.
Man, thank you so much. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah. So how'd this whole thing start? All from an Instagram message.
Yeah, actually, I made a post on my story about the top 5 podcasts to listen to, while you're riding around, and I, mentioned your name, and you messaged back, and I was able to, share with you what your content's done for me.
Which, do you mind if I share that message?
No, man, go for it.
Cool. So we got it up on the screen here. I just took a screenshot so we can make it larger for everyone watching. And for those listening, it says, great stuff, bro. Best advice I've taken from you is the friendship formula. I've contracted over 500,000 in 60 days, all in one neighborhood. I went from running around like a chicken with my head cut off to sitting in one spot, saving mileage and racking up deals. I haven't even knocked this neighborhood in 3 weeks and still have a steady flow of leads coming from referrals and yard signs. Thanks so much for all the great content. And then it went on, number 1 sales rep in the company for May, number 3 for June, all because back in April, I bought into what you have been teaching. I was only at 322K through April and now pushing 850. And then we've got the AccuLink sales leaderboard with yours at number 1 position here at the bottom, 504,443 from May 1st to June 30th. Wild. Marshall, you told me something right before we started. It really wasn't in 60 days. It was faster. How fast?
It was about 6 weeks because I forgot to share that I took a 2-week vacation.
So 500,000 in sales with a 2-week vacation built in. Unreal, man. And before we get into the details, I'm going to be asking you some questions. The friendship formula, when you said the friendship formula, to me, I know what that is. Share with me what that meant to you and how that helped you kind of just hone on this neighborhood and blow it up.
So the friendship formula, basically, to just oversimplify it, is breeding familiarity. Just making your face and your company's logo known in a neighborhood. I've heard you say it 100 times, no doesn't always mean no. It almost never means no. It just means I don't trust you yet. So, there was several houses that I knocked probably 3 or 4 times, left the mailers or left my business card in the door, and just kind of kept showing up. Then I'll do their neighbor's roof. I'm going to put my yard sign out. And, I also, on not every install, but a lot of installs, I set a tent up with my company's logo on it. I'll be out there just waving at people while they ride by. And, eventually they'll say, hey, you've knocked on my door 3 times. I see you did Joe's roof. I see you did Dave's roof. Why don't you just take a look at mine? And, just building that familiarity and embedding yourself into a neighborhood and to the community really goes a long way for building trust.
So I'm writing that down. Embed yourself into the neighborhood and the community in order to build trust. And that is truly phenomenal advice. Would you mind sharing with me what you were doing before you made this switch to, as you put it, breathing familiarity, the friendship formula simplified, which, by the way, I love that you simplified it because it's 4 things. But anyone who wants to read more about it, this is from the book, The Like Switch, Like, Like Switch, by Jack Schaefer, former FBI agent. He describes the friendship formula as 4 things: proximity, frequency, duration, and intensity. Proximity being in the neighborhood, frequency, how often you are, duration, how much time, and the intensity, meaning the depth of relationships if you serve people that are familiar to them. And I love that you just simplified it into 2 words: breathing familiarity. That's great. So what were you doing before you kind of switched, to focusing on a neighborhood?
So our office covers a very large amount of area. And, I was kind of running, I somewhat took your advice as far as planning out your days ahead. So I would pull up Google Maps, go on satellite view, and, find a neighborhood that I wanted to go knock. I'd knock a few doors, get told no a few times, maybe get a contingency sign with a claim filed, here and there. I I might, knock 20 doors. I might knock the whole neighborhood, or I might just knock a few and get kind of lazy, um, and get out of there, and then just that would be it. And then I'd go to the next neighborhood. And like I said, we cover a lot of ground, so I might go work an hour from the house one day, and then go 45 minutes the opposite direction the next day, and then even whenever I did have success, I was like a chicken with my head cut off, chasing around trying to follow up on these deals. They're an hour and a half from each other, and I was really, seems like every time I took 2 steps forward, I took 1 step back.
Yeah. Been there. Was that like a discouraging process? Did you ever question the industry or this opportunity after kind of feeling tugged around, or did you just feel like, you know what, it's going to work out at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely, so I got into the industry because I have a really good friend who's been doing it forever. And he's the one that, got me in, and he's told me, and since he's a good friend and I trust him, he's always kind of been there to tell me, hey, just stick around, man. It's going to get better. Keep working. It's going to get better. So having him, and his name's Tony, by the way. He's awesome.
Shout out to Tony.
I actually told Tony that if I ever make enough money to buy a supercar or a jet, he gets the first ride for getting me in the industry.
That is awesome.
But so having him to kind of encourage me kept me focused, but there were definitely times where I was like, man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Like, it works for him, it works for other people, but man, I just don't know. And I started in late September of 2020, and at the end of the year, I had 200,000 in sales. So over 3 months, 200,000 in sales is not very encouraging.
Yeah, that's it's very different from where you are now.
Absolutely.
Did you ever dream that you'd be able to earn this type of living?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem real. A lot of times I look around and I think, not only the income, like I'm sitting in a 2020 Tacoma right now. It's, just a big blessing to me. I have flexibility with my schedule. I thank God every day for this opportunity.
Yeah. You got to pinch yourself sometimes, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Is this real? Is this really happening?
Right.
You mentioned something that I know will strike a chord with a lot of people. You said, I questioned if I wasn't cut out for this. It works for them, but it won't for me. Why did you feel that way? And what changed?
So, I mean, really, I just wasn't having the success that I thought I should be having. And, looking at other people, other sales rep in the company, seeing what they were doing and just thinking there's no way I could be there. I don't know, maybe I got in too late, and, everybody else already has a corner on the market. Yeah, I was just making all kind of excuses and really just kind of feeling sorry for myself. And, like I said, I had Tony, I had my sales manager, both really telling me, hey, you've got the ability, you've got the talent, you've got the work ethic, just stay at it. And I don't know, it just seemed like a really big uphill climb. And I remember someone telling me that it was like a well. You just got to keep digging. And then once you get there, you just pump it and it gets a lot easier. So I kept that in mind. And then finally, like I said, I started applying that friendship formula, just camping out in the neighborhood, not taking the first no for a no, staying after it. Then once I started having success, I just started gaining confidence, and, it went from digging the well to just pumping it.
That is, I like that. From digging the well, from digging the well to pumping. That, man, you got a lot of good sayings in here. I'm quoting you a bunch. Camping out in a neighborhood was another really good one. It's just a really strong visual to think like what we got to do. And you said it, you set up a tent, you're waving at people, starting conversations. Setting up a tent in neighborhood is the definition of camping out in a neighborhood. you know,
And I might not even be there all day. You know, I might show up in the morning, set the tent up, be back at 3 o'clock. But either way, they're going to see that tent there all day.
Yep. I love it, man. That's fantastic. I'd love if it's okay to shift gears and talk about your personal story into this industry, because
All right.
as many people, you know, this is kind of rock bottom. It's an only opportunity. It's the opportunity. It's the only one that's accessible. It's the make or break. I'm broke, gonna be broke. I need a fresh start. So share your story. Where were you and what were you doing before roofing sales, and what brought you in?
All right. So that's a story for sure. Which I I made some mistakes as a teenager. I actually got kicked out of college for something very stupid that I did. I won't get into all the details,
Don't need to.
but it woke me up for sure, and actually brought me to an altar. So yeah, at 19 years old, I got in a lot of trouble. Got kicked out of college. Found myself in church. Gave my life to Christ, and you know, haven't been the same ever since. You know, I kind of told you before we got on that I didn't want to turn this into a church service or anything, but I will, you know, throw this out there. There's, you know, there is hope for anyone out there. You know, if you will, you know, allow God to take control of your life, you know, He will do great things with it. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to reap what you sow. So after, you know, a few years of being out on bond, I actually had to serve some time for what I did as a teenager. So last August, I got out of prison and jumped into this industry in September and
And
had nothing. Like you said, rock bottom.
nothing. And man, how did you have support from family or friends or anything like that coming out and starting your entire life from scratch?
Yeah. So, you know, I was able, you know, I was fortunate enough that, you know, my mom, you know, still had an extra bedroom for me. So I had a place to stay. Had a great, awesome, supportive church family who, you know, like I said, Tony's the guy that got me into the industry. He's actually, we go to church together. That's how we knew each other. So I will say, you know, I did have a great support system, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. And thank you for being real and sharing it. I'm honest. I'm speechless because I struggled getting in, but I had a, even being broke, a higher competitive edge than you did. You know, I didn't start my life literally with nothing. I didn't have a criminal history that would prohibit me from other avenues. You know, and for many people, you're not the only one that's turned their life around from prison to highly successful and just living life on the right path now. You know, and it's inspiring as hell to me, and I hope it is for others to just say, you know what, whatever we've done in our past, this is a time to start fresh. And the only thing that's going to make or break our success in this business is it's in here. It's our heart, it's our mind, and it's our willingness to do the right things, serve people the right way. And this is an industry that to some degree doesn't discriminate on that stuff. And it is an equal opportunity, regardless, if we're willing to put in the work. So share with me, how did Tony lure you in? By the way, Tony, thanks for luring Marshall in.
Yeah, I'll make sure I let them know when this airs. So it actually, man, before I went to serve my time, I was managing a retail store. That was another thing. I was wildly successful just because I put in the work. You know, I started out knowing nothing about it, and you know, ended up at 21 years old managing a multi-million-dollar location, but still getting paid like I work at McDonald's. You know, so he saw, you know, the skill set that I had. Not that I'm extremely skilled, because really I just, you know, do what it takes. But you know, he kind of saw that I had the knack for it, and you know, he told me actually before I left, he was like, "Man, you know, whenever you get out, you know, you should consider this." And we talked a few times while I was gone. I contacted him a couple months before I got out, and I was like, "Hey, man, is that opportunity still available?" And he was like, "Yeah, let me talk to, you know, sales manager." let them know, that you're getting out, and next time I talked to him, he was like, yeah, man, it's a go. He said, just, take your time when you get out. If you want to take a couple weeks, whatever, there's no hurry, no rush. Just let him know when you're ready to meet him. And the door's open. So,
Wow.
That's how he lured me in. And, I work for a great company. Sales manager's great. He knows where I come from. He knows my story. And he was more than happy to give me the opportunity.
Wow. And you deserve it, man. I mean, it's not every day you see people especially using this business. It's not easy. We gotta challenge ourselves. Success isn't guaranteed. Success isn't always fast. In fact, most people like you that reach out, that are open to sharing their story, very few, it was like, I hit the ground running and it just exploded from there. How long did it take till you felt like, from when you started, because you shared that you did about 200,000 in sales in your first, what was that, 3 months total?
Yeah, about little over 3 months. Yeah.
Until things accelerated. So was that 3-month mark like the questioning period, or how long did it take till you finally went from questioning, is this for me, to like, I'm all in, let's make this thing, like, I'm going to pour gasoline on this fire?
I'd say it was really about 4 months, because I had a terrible January this year. I don't think I might have had like 50,000 in January of this year contracted. So, it was even up through that point where I was just like, man, I don't know. And then it was either late January, early February. I'm about 4 to 5 months into the industry, and make sure you're still with me. I'm getting a call coming in there.
Okay.
I was about 4 or 5 months in, and I finally got my first paid in full check, and I was like, oh man, this thing's nice. This might be worth sticking around for. And it's kind of those paid in full checks started to come in from the early jobs. I realized the potential, and I actually just decided I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Probably right there early February.
Yeah, man, that's what, 4 months. It's so common. So many people quit too soon. I mean, what would your life be like if you left this after 4 months? Where would you be right now?
I couldn't tell you, man. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. So
yeah. It takes. I had an email this morning. This gentleman says, we started our business and we took a bet on ourselves, and I love that. I said, you know what? The only way to win on yourself is to bet on yourself. And I feel like too many people quit too soon. I've watched it so many times, and if you had quit after even 4 months right before, let me remind everyone listening, 500,000 in sales in 60 days. That was really done in 6 weeks because you had a 2-week vacation. Those are numbers that even if you stopped selling, you would earn a comfortable income. Okay, income. More than you probably would as a salaried employee somewhere doing the world's worst job. And you've done that in 60 days. And at this rate, you're going to do multi-million in a year. Multi-million. Who knows how many, especially as things progress.
Right.
So if you were to look back and give, before I get there, I want to ask that later. What was the big breakthrough for you from the 4 months up until like where it took off?
So, I'll say this, man, just being consistent, staying at it. And I've got something here. It looks terrible. But this is just, my sloppy, the way that I work. It works for me. It might not work for everybody else, but we had a sales meeting at the beginning of the year. Our sales manager told us to make goals and, kind of break them down to see what you need to do every week, what you need to do every day. And like I said, through January, I had a terrible month. So I started off, way behind 1 month into the year. And, I decided that, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to hit these numbers.
Love that.
Like I said, I know it's sloppy.
Who cares?
but it works, you know. And I looked at how many doors I have to knock every day, how many claims have to get filed with contingency every week, how many contracts need to get signed every week. And, you know, there were weeks where I got 0 contracts signed, but I stayed at it. And then the next thing I know, there's weeks where I'm getting 6, 7 contracts signed, and my chart's not big enough for that. So, so being consistent, setting goals, reminding yourself what you have to do each and every day, and watching the Roof Strategist.
Thanks for the final plug there. You know, I love what you said about the consistency. I kid you not, every sales rep I've talked with, that's the one word that everybody says: consistency. And then you said it, doing the right activities each and every day. You know, and I'm sure you've heard me share it on the channel. The roofing sales success formula is 3 things: be, do, say. The right person. You know, I can help a little bit on that front, but that's ultimately up to us, who we are: the hustle, the heart, the drive, the willingness to put in the work, the willingness to go 4 months and question it and stick with it. The doing the right activities each and every day, like you are. And the say, learning how to pitch, present, overcome objections, and close. And you nailed it, man. I mean, the relentless pursuit that you had over those first 4 months, that takes dedication to feel like you're failing for 120 days in a row and say, I can get better. I can do this. I can do this. And that's powerful. If you were to give advice to yourself so you could bypass the 4-month, 120 days of questioning this industry, what advice would you give yourself when you first started knowing what you know now?
Listen to Adam.
By the way, I didn't ask for that. I just need to say.
Man, I would definitely, there's a couple or 3 big takeaways that I would give myself, because I started out, like I said, running around just chasing leads all over multiple counties, not really having concrete goals and not knowing what to say at the door. So, you know, 1, set those goals, know what it takes and do what it takes to get there every day. Even when you don't succeed, do the work anyway. Number 2, camp out in a neighborhood, you know, breed familiarity, use that friendship formula. And number 3, which is, you know, really what's going to get you in the door to build those relationships, is pitching formula. I made a shift back in January, February in my pitch from, you know, leading off with, you know, hey, I'm Marshall, you know, I'm here to inspect your roof, got a free inspection, you know, whatever. It probably wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad. To asking, you know, introducing myself, making it familiar, you know, leading them with an open-ended question that, you know, doesn't just give them the opportunity to say, no, I'm good, thanks, and close the door in my face, but asking them questions like, hey, when's the last time your roof was inspected? Where are you in the process? Things to make them think, that don't give them an easy out, and then presenting to their need of where they are in the process. So those are 3 big things that, you know, I definitely, if I would have been doing day 1, I would have had a much more successful first few months.
Wow, man, that was powerful. I'm going to recap that for everybody, because I think those were 3 absolutely golden nuggets. Even if you don't succeed, do the work anyway, because it's not every day is a win. Camp out in the neighborhood and breathe familiarity, and pitch the formula and know what to say at the door. That was powerful. Marshall, thank you for sharing your story. I told you before we started recording these interviews, I get messages all the time of folks saying how relatable and inspiring they are. And for you to be able to give this gift to other people who may be in a position of questioning this on their own, who may be interested in getting into the industry, you know, this is knowledge and information that just wasn't available for a long time. Now it's all changing now. There's a lot out there, but when I got into it, there was no YouTube channels. There was no podcasts. It was, here's a shirt, go do it.
Right.
and
man, I hopped in, you know, right after we had a major storm. And, you know, even though I worked for a great company, you know, everybody was so just wrapped up in, you know, facing kind of uncharted territory with this catastrophe that had happened. So, it wasn't, even though I have a great sales manager, he wasn't available to just take a call every time I had a question. So I had to, get on YouTube, and fortunately found you.
Yeah. How cool, man. That's just awesome. Marshall, is there anything else that you wanted to share, either for anyone listening who might be questioning this industry, or people who are already really successful and just kind of looking to level up? Any closing words of wisdom?
Yeah, don't compare yourself to other people, which is a big thing, because like I said, I was struggling early on because I was seeing these guys who are selling 10, 12 times as much as me in my same office. And I'm wondering, how can I amount to that? There's no way I can be successful. Even with hearing people's interviews on your channel, like, man, that's great for him, but I can't do that. And, just focus on your goals, focus on you. And the next thing you know, you'll be doing the things that those people were doing months ago, and it'll blow your mind if you focus on yourself and stop looking at them.
Yeah, that's sage advice. Is this industry, would you say it's easy?
Now it is, yeah. When I was digging the well, it was not easy, but now that I'm pumping it, it blows my mind how easy it is.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I normally knock more doors, but I had a bunch of appointments. I knocked 4 doors and got on 3 roofs yesterday. It's that easy.
Yeah, it's funny. I know I kind of threw you into this trap because I talk about easy and simple, and I think they're different. Easy means everyone can do it, right? Tying your shoe is easy. Most people can tie their shoe. Roofing sales is simple, fundamentally simple. It's not an easy thing because the battle. Well, I'm just curious. Do you think the competition outside or your own internal demons are harder to conquer?
Oh, it's definitely me, because right in the middle of it was early May, I believe, right whenever I was starting to have this crazy hot streak of success. I called my sales manager. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. I'm in a slump. He's like, what are you talking about, man? Look at all these numbers you're putting up. And I'm like, I don't know what to say at the door anymore. I'm just like fumbling over my words. Like all of a sudden I hit a wall, even in the middle of having success. But, we all have those days. Just shake it off, get over it, and keep doing what you know to do.
What's your favorite technique to get yourself out of a sales slump?
Well, take a day off, not a week, but a day, and do something you enjoy. Take your mind off things, and then come back after that off day, laser focused, knowing what you have to do. Again, keeping those, I know it sounds overly simple, but keeping those goals in mind. And, if you need to refresh yourself, like go back and watch some videos or listen to some podcasts, or if you have, the battle pack, or if you have, a script or a formula wrote out, just go back and refresh yourself, kind of, start from scratch. Well, I don't like that term, start from scratch, because you need to use your experiences, but yeah. Basically just reset.
Sure. Yeah. I like that. It's hard to, by the way, I do the same thing. If I'm in a slump, if I'm blocked up mentally, step away. It's hard because you want to push through it. It's like, it's so super counterintuitive to say, hey, you know what? I'm facing a hard time. But I think a big trap many people fall into is taking too much of a break, where they dissociate, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's a vacation, it's some sort of distraction to just fully push it away, as opposed to doing a very intentional, like you said, take a day, not a week, a day to just disconnect, recharge your batteries, and come back fresh with the fresh plan of attack, refreshed. That's golden. That's awesome. Well, I took that final question I asked you and rolled it into probably another 10 minutes of questions, because it was just such a rich conversation. So I'm going to ask you again, if there's anything else that you want to share with anyone about your journey, this industry, or where you see this whole thing going.
Oh man, just it's simple, but don't give up. Just stay focused. And again, do what needs to be done every day.
Yeah. Love
And
it.
that's what I tell, people. I'm also a minister in my local church. Whenever it comes to anything, like if it's, uh, again, I'm not trying to turn this into a church service, man, but I tell people, if you want to get closer to God, read your Bible when you don't feel like it. Pray when you don't feel like it. So if you want to succeed in roofing sales, knock doors when you don't feel like it. Go to the next one when you get your teeth kicked in. Just keep going. It's simple.
Man, that is really, really powerful, because it's easy to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them. It's not easy to do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, but are good for you. That's
Right.
great.
And that's what's going to make you whenever
Yeah.
it's not convenient.
Mm-hmm. Have you read Brendan Burchard's book called High Performance Habits? Is it?
I have not. I've actually heard you reference it a few times, and I probably should.
I'm reading it right now. I'm not all the way done, but one thing, High Performance Habits, I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, High Performance Habits is a book. He talks about these cues. Brendan talks about cues to inspire us. And we often don't feel like doing the things that we need to do. And he has these cues, meaning like a reminder. So he'll set random alarms on his phone. He also has a mantra that he says to himself every time he walks through a doorway. When he walks in, who here needs me on my A game? And that really resonated with me in terms of doing the things that we need to do when it's tough to do. I have it myself, shoot 7 videos, 8 takes, card error, that take was bad. And I'm like, who needs me on my A game? And I think of you. I think of the people that are using this material. And that to me is the fuel that's like, got to do it. It doesn't matter what I feel like. It's not about me. So I promise this is actually going to be the last question I ask, but we just keep getting into just such rich stuff. What's your why? Why are you doing this? What is the fuel that keeps you moving forward through those times when it's challenging, when it's tough, or when you're doubting yourself or you don't want to do it? Where do you find that fuel?
That's going to be on a larger scale, my goals again. So I believe that, here in the near future, I will not be doing roofing sales. I will be, traveling the country, preaching. That's going to require me having some financial stability. I'm going to need to be able to put some money back. I want to be able to start a family. So I have to be secure in that. So as long as I'm doing this job, I have to stay focused and just go after it, go hard after it for as long as I can, because I'm so thankful for this opportunity that, I'd be a fool to waste it.
Yeah. I got nothing to add. That's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that, Marshall. Thank you for being here and sharing your story, being real about this whole experience of from where you were to where you are now to where you headed. I couldn't keep up with the gems of golden nuggets that you've shared. And thanks a ton for being here. I appreciate it more than you know.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We'll call it a wrap. We'll see you soon.
All right.